Ladies and gentlemen, this story just crossed the line, and this is why everything just changed for Senator Mark Kelly, okay? What started as a political stunt, what started as a slickly produced video meant to score points against President Trump has now escalated into something far more serious. This is no longer about partisan messaging. This is no longer about cable news, outrage cycles. This is about the chain of command. Because when you have a sitting U.S. senator, who also just so happens to be a retired naval officer, appearing in a video that questions military obedience under a sitting commander-in-chief, that doesn't just rattle Washington. That activates institutions that do not care about spin, optics, or talking points. And now the Pentagon has just escalated its review, not dialed it down, not brushed it aside, escalated it. Big difference here. Now, at the same time, federal authorities are circling the broader group that's involved. Now, what's now being referred to as the Seditious Six. And suddenly, Mark Kelly, he isn't standing alone. His allies are scrambling. His defenders are backpedaling. And the political class that thought that this would just kind of blow over is realizing something rather uncomfortable. When the Pentagon moves in, when DOJ scrutiny enters the picture, when the FBI's name even gets mentioned in the same breath, this is the part where the rules change. Now, tonight, we're going to go ahead and walk through why this moment matters, why it's accelerating, and more importantly, why for Mark Kelly, the clock may already be ticking. Hit the like button, look down, and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Okay, guys. So here's where the entire argument shifts. This stopped being just political speech the moment that the subject became military obedience under a sitting commander-in-chief. In civilian politics, lawmakers argue, posture, exaggerate. This is normal. But when speech directly touches the chain of command, the legal and institutional weight changes immediately. The military does not operate on vibes. It doesn't operate on interpretations or partisan context. It operates on clarity. Orders are followed or the system breaks. That's why speech that encourages service members to question or even refuse orders, even rhetorically, isn't treated like a floor speech or a cable news hit. No, this is totally different. I'm talking this is court-martial level treason, if you ask me. This isn't about silencing dissent. This is about preventing ambiguity inside of an institution where ambiguity gets people killed. And so the line wasn't crossed because of opinion. It was crossed because the subject matter itself just carries national security consequences. That's the pivot point, guys. And once that line is crossed, politics no longer controls what happens next. Now, I want to talk about what escalation actually means, because this is where people get it wrong. A preliminary inquiry inside the Pentagon is often very quiet, limited, and fact gathering. Okay, it's designed to assess whether something even rises to the level of concern. Most never go further. They stall out, they fade away. Now, a command level review is totally different. That's not curiosity. That is seriousness. This is when leadership decides the issue affects order, discipline, or institutional integrity. And that decision alone, this signals that this is no longer a hypothetical problem. Importantly, escalation does not mean guilt. It doesn't mean guilt has been confirmed or determined. What it does mean is that the stakes are high enough that the military just can't ignore it. The system is protecting itself, if that makes sense. And so when the Pentagon moves up, it's because the potential consequences move up too. And this is why this moment matters so much, even before anybody utters the word charges. Now, this is where Mark Kelly's situation becomes fundamentally different from pretty much everyone else involved. So Mark Kelly isn't just a senator. Mark Kelly is a retired naval officer, and this is a big, huge detail that matters. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, retired officers who continue to receive military pay, they remain subject to military law. That's not controversial. That's not being debated. That is established doctrine. Nobody's going to argue that, or some people try to argue it, but it's a moot point. So when Kelly appeared in that video, he wasn't speaking only as a politician, whether he intended it or not. Doesn't matter. He was speaking as someone who once held command authority and still carries obligations tied to that uniform. That creates a dual role conflict that most lawmakers don't have. Members of Congress, they can criticize policy all day long till they're blue in the face. Retired officers, they must be way more careful when their words intersect with obedience and discipline. So this, my friends, this is why Kelly isn't just adjacent to the issue. He is central to it. I mean, his status places him at a very critical category where consequences are structurally possible, not politically optional. And I get messages from viewers all the time that start the same way. Hey, he said, I meant to call, but life got busy. And then January hit. And just like that, he was locked into a bad Medicare plan for an entire year, a full year of overpaying, a full year of stress, a full year of realizing that waiting too long has real consequences. And this is why I partner with Chapter, folks. Chapter makes sure that a simple delay doesn't turn into 12 months of financial suffering. They walk you through your Medicare options for free for the Ron Yates community before the deadlines close, so that you don't find out the hard way that the system doesn't bend once the clock runs out. Now, most people don't even realize this until it's too late. I'll be honest with you. But a lot of viewers here are not waiting anymore. I mean, they're already calling the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, or they're going to askchapter.org/Ron. I left a link for you down below. Just hit the link real quick, or you can dial the number on your screen, 909-563-8279, to make sure that you're protected before the window shuts. All right, so let's get back to it, because timing is everything in this story too. Now, what we need to talk about is the video itself, because this is where institutional alarms start ringing. The controversy isn't that lawmakers criticize President Trump. That ain't it. It's the video that framed military obedience as conditional, hinging on interpretations of illegal orders without identifying any one specific illegality. Now, in a military context, that is combustible language. Service members are not trained to crowdsource legality from politicians. They're trained to follow lawful orders and rely on established channels if something is truly unlawful. So, injecting political judgment into a process, this introduces hesitation, and hesitation in the ranks is rather dangerous. Intent doesn't erase impact. Even if the message was meant symbolically, it doesn't matter. The effect is ambiguity, and ambiguity inside of a military structure is treated as a threat to cohesion. This is why we keep hearing the word treason over and over and over, that this looks like treason, it smells like treason, and it walks like treason. And this is why this video didn't just spark outrage, it triggered review. And so this is the moment where pressure turns into gravity. Pentagon discipline is internal. All right. Pentagon discipline is internal. It's about order, conduct, and institutional integrity. But when the Department of Justice and the FBI, once they enter the conversation, that scope widens dramatically. I mean, now you're no longer dealing with just one lane. You're dealing with parallel scrutiny. Federal interest doesn't automatically mean criminal charges, but what it does mean is that the issue has clearly crossed the line into potential violations that extend beyond military discipline. It also means statements, coordination, and intent suddenly matter a whole heck of a lot more. Now, here's the key point. When multiple institutions move at the exact same time, none of them want to be the one that ignored a warning sign. Each review increases the pressure on the others to act decisively. And so this is why this moment feels different, because it is different. It's not just escalation, it's convergence. And convergence is exactly where cases stop quietly disappearing. And so now I want you to watch how this expands, okay? When Representative Eliza Slotkin publicly stepped in to defend this video, the controversy stopped being about one retired officer and became a party-wide problem. Defending the message means owning the implications, and that widens the blast radius. And so instead of isolating Mark Kelly, the defense reframed the issue as a principled stand. But institutions don't hear principle, they hear precedent. And precedent is exactly what the Pentagon and the federal authorities are allergic to. And so once others step forward to justify the language, the question becomes whether this was coordinated messaging or if it was shared judgment. And that distinction actually matters enormously in any review. It doesn't even matter. And so this is how individual exposure turns into collective vulnerability. And this is why allies rushing to defend Mark Kelly have unintentionally made his situation worse, not better. And so this right here, this is where the constitutional gravity comes into play. Donald J. Trump is not just a political figure in the story. No, Trump is the commander-in-chief of the United States military, and civilian control of the armed forces is just one of the most sensitive principles in the American government. governance. It exists precisely to prevent chaos, factional loyalty, and divided command. And so when lawmakers publicly frame military obedience as conditional under a sitting president, that doesn't land as rhetoric. No, this is not just rhetoric. It lands as a challenge to civilian authority itself. Historically, that is a red line in the sand, regardless of your Republican, Democrat, independent, libertarian, it don't matter. And so the Pentagon cannot treat this lightly, because the consequences of failing to reinforce that principle, this ripples far beyond one administration. Look, once service members start weighing political signals against lawful orders, the chain breaks. This right here, this is why the situation escalated so fast, because it touches a principle that the system is designed to defend at all costs. And so now, if you add the political pressure that's underneath all of this, you get a blown open powder keg. Among Trump supporters, patience is wearing thin. Listen to the MAGA crowd, they're done. For years, they have been told accountability is coming, investigations, reviews, consequences, and way too often, those promises ended in delays, excuses, or quiet fade outs. A lot of people lost faith in Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, saying, man, they always say, they're going after these people, but nobody's gone to jail yet. And I'm not saying that they're not doing their job. I think that they are doing their best. But drop a yes in the comments down below if you think that there are some folks who have been doing some shady stuff that should have gone to jail already. Drop a yes if you think so. Now, this is why this case is being watched so closely, guys. To many in the MAGA base, this is a test, not of vengeance, but of seriousness, of whether lines actually exist and whether crossing them still matters. And so this frustration didn't appear overnight. It's been building through, other stalled moments, other unresolved controversies. And now that pressure is colliding with an institutional process that cannot afford to look weak or selective. And so that combination right there, base impatience plus institutional integrity, it creates momentum that is very hard to stop once it starts moving. Now, here's where the narrative war kicks in overdrive, okay? Legacy media has been very quick to frame this as weaponization, as if the Pentagon, the DOJ, the FBI all woke up one morning and decided to target political opponents of Trump. That framing is emotionally effective, but it ignores how these institutions actually function. Military justice does not work like cable news panels. It doesn't operate on vibes and these outrage cycles or partisan alignment. It operates on procedures, triggers, thresholds, okay? And once those thresholds are crossed, the system moves whether the optics are good or bad. And this is why comparisons to civil prosecutions miss the point. A command level review is not a political prosecution. It is a defensive mechanism for the institution itself. And so what you're really seeing is two different stories running in parallel. One that's designed to shape public opinion and emotion, and another one that is unfolding quietly inside bureaucratic systems who just don't care who's mad on Twitter. And so this is the part that no one wants to say out loud, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it, okay? Y'all want me to say it? Can I be real with y'all? If this goes forward, critics will warn about chilling dissent, about retired officers staying silent out of fear. But if it doesn't go forward, the opposite precedent gets set, that political actors with military credentials can just go ahead and flirt with the chain of command without any consequences. Both outcomes carry risk. And this is exactly why decision makers are nervous. Institutions hate precedent that they can't control. They hate the gray zones. They hate situations where future cases can point backwards and say, you let that one slide, you're going to have to let this one slide. Nobody wants that. This is not about punishing one man. It's about deciding what the rule actually is going to be going forward. And so once that question is on the table, indecision, it becomes kind of like its own kind of decision. That is why this moment feels so heavy, because whether it breaks away, something permanent gets written into the record. One of the most overlooked elements in this whole story is time. And right now, time is not Mark Kelly's friend. Escalation speed matters. So when reviews move quickly, it's often because delaying creates more risk than acting, okay? And so silence becomes exposure. Inaction becomes a liability. That is especially true when multiple institutions are involved. None of them want to be accused later of ignoring the warning signs. Nobody wants to be left holding the hot potato, so to speak. So here's the paradox. The longer this drags on, the worse it gets. Every day without resolution invites leaks, speculation, and pressure from all sides. Overlapping reviews compress decision windows, narrows options. The options begin to narrow. Exit ramps disappear. This is why moments like this don't de-escalate on their own. They resolve one way or the other. And once momentum builds inside the bureaucratic systems, it's very hard to slow it down without someone taking some kind of responsibility. That is the ticking clock everyone around Mark Kelly can feel, even if they won't say it publicly. I'll be honest with you, there's going to be some puckering going on right now. In the end, this case may be bigger than Mark Kelly ever intended. He's already become a symbol, whether he wanted to become a symbol or not, of blurred lines between politics and military authority, of how far rhetoric can go before institutions push back, and of whether accountability still exists when the stakes are comfortable, or rather, I should say, uncomfortable. Symbols attract consequences faster than isolated actors. That's just reality, guys. Institutions don't correct every violation. They correct the ones that define the boundaries. And this case sits right on a boundary that they cannot afford to let drift. So whether Kelly is ultimately cleared or not, this moment right here, this will shape how future lawmakers, retired officers, and political actors think before stepping into the gray zone again. This is why this story keeps growing, because it's no longer just about one video or one senator. This is about where the line actually is and whether crossing it still means something.